And a warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us here for another live episode of Conversations with Michael. We've titled today's episode Reality Reset and Beyond because it's time to talk about what so many of you have come to realize. It has the potential of dramatically changing how you are experiencing your own reality. And all the changes that continue to unfold, well, at a lightning pace on this planet. But if any of you were hoping to get Michael's prediction on who wins the upcoming presidential election in the United States, well, sorry to say, but you're going to be greatly disappointed. So once again, welcome. We are streaming live from our home studio in the beautiful Willamette Valley of Oregon. And this is one of my favorite times of the year, as nature begins to reveal yet another layer of its own beauty. So many incredible colors. We hope that wherever you call home, you're taking the time in your own life to enjoy the beauty that is all around us all the time. And as our time and energy begins to shift to being more and more indoors, I'm of course enjoying another hot cup of Earl Grey tea, but it's also a great time to hang out with your friends. We have the privilege of gathering a few times every single month with a small group of fully awakened human beings in our online group sessions. People that, much like yourself, who have allowed the presence of their soul to now be present, that have chosen to be conscious of what they're creating and are willing to share both the places where they are stuck and those moments when life is flowing so easy. It's so refreshing to have conversations with other people that aren't filled with a lot of drama, despite what is going on all around us. We don't get bogged down really talking about politics or even when the ETs are going to land. We already know that there is no soul that gave birth to itself while being here on earth. Most of us arrived on this planet a very long time ago. So the real question remains, what's so special, referring to extraterrestrial beings, about any terrestrial being that is now following in our footsteps? Think about that. Perhaps it's to learn for themselves what we discovered from our own human experience. If you're looking for tangible evidence that we're not alone here on this planet in all of creation, well, we invite you to invite the presence of your soul to be present. And then do what? Go look in the mirror. You're right there. This beautiful human family represents leaders from a variety of planetary systems. So if and when the ETs do arrive, are they here to be of service to you as a soul being who is at the front line of changes here on earth and all of creation? If they are, then point them to your website. That's where they can sign up. Or are they asking for forgiveness for all the ways they have interfered without your permission with this human experience? Let's take a deep breath. If being a part of a private online community speaks to your heart, you're welcome to join us. Feel free to click on the community tab on our website. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into what it really means to be in your own energy. But first, we also want to thank all of you that have placed your trust in our guidance. It means a lot to us. We look forward to being here for many years to come. So when we talk about our own energy, for me, there is my oversoul, including the Archangel Michael, and my soul, all dancing with my human self, Robert, in the most graceful and respectful way, while at the same time sharing a great deal of passion for just being. They have never forced their presence on my human part, even when I asked them to do just that, to help get me out of some really tight places I created for myself. They only enter my life when I allow them to. Some of you have heard me share my first full body experience with my own energy. It happened for me over 40 years ago. I started to perceive reality moving in slow motion while driving a car. Not an easy thing to do. In that moment, I experienced a type of oneness within myself, as if everything around me was a part of the original self too, no matter what form it showed itself as. The feeling of bliss and well-being was simply overwhelming. I'd never experienced so much joy or such clarity. It was as if the life I was living was but a dream. It took a while for my human self, Robert, to accept that our divine nature can indeed exist inside of this human experience. You don't suddenly become complete and whole. The integration with your soul continues to grow, expand, and change moment to moment. From my experience, the ascension never stops, both on and off of this planet. That's the gift the original self gave to itself. To know itself as being you too, in countless ways, into infinity. It's what inspired me as Robert, with Michael, to create Ancient Wings, because I had grown to believe if I experienced that, then it must also be the birthright of every human being to experience their own divine nature for themselves, not as something that is extraordinary, although from your human perspective it can feel a lot like that, but more and more embracing it as just being our natural state. And that, my friends, puts a lot of what we consider to be natural or normal in a very different light. So make yourself comfortable. Begin to feel into all the energy that is here today in support of all of you. Each of you have your own unique relationship with your own oversoul and your own soul. These very parts of you are just waiting for your human self to allow them to help guide and support your life. And of course, the big question is, how does the human self allow such a presence, such a gift? Well, you could say just allow. That's it. But sometimes your mind needs a little help to better understand how this all works. So we recommend that you place your attention on your breath, moving it away from your internal dialogue, your thinking process, and just notice how easy it is for your body, one breath at a time, to relax and to allow oxygen to help support its own identity. It doesn't struggle with this. Your body doesn't fight against allowing oxygen, breathing in, being in receivership of oxygen to help support its own identity. And if you're willing to stop reacting to those underlying thoughts and what they're thinking, and for just a moment, focus on your breath and how your body is so comfortable being in receivership of what supports it, you might discover another presence starting to make itself known to you in the form of your soul or your own energy, gently revealing that inside of its own presence there exists another reset. No matter what your circumstances might be or what the state of this world is, at the core of your soul, there's a song that keeps repeating itself. You can feel it, but if you gave words to it, it would be repeating that what? All is indeed well. All is indeed well at the core of your soul. But if your attention begins to shift to all those underlying worries and concerns, it's really hard to hear or even feel your own unique song. Now, take a deep breath and notice how the energy in this gathering has also shifted. Just from the little time we spent inviting all of you to shift your attention. Imagine what you would experience if you allowed more of you. You don't need to perfect the art of allowing, but you do need to practice it. So it just becomes something that you do, just like your body. Your body knows being in receivership of oxygen is essential to its own health and well-being. Without it, game's over, right? It is the presence of your soul with its light that is now offering some much needed support to millions of people on this planet that have lost all hope. This human family got seduced by a daily mantra that suggests that all is not well. It's like a radio signal that's broadcasting all day long. All you have to do is pick up any newspaper or watch the news online. There's enough drama going on in the last 24 hours to fill most people's lives for their entire lifetime. But alongside all of that is this new emerging reality. One that supports itself when as individuals we allow ourselves to experience a different type of support that comes now from within us, that knows without a doubt that all is indeed well. No matter what your current circumstances might be. We're going to dive a little deeper into all of this next Saturday in our upcoming workshop titled Being a Creator. Feel free to join us. We priced it in a way that makes it available to a lot more people because we know what we are suggesting. This is a really hard sell for parts of you. If you got pulled into all the games we play with our soul, games that would suggest that all is not well. But we are living in a time where there are now so many people who are now seeing how consciousness in and of itself represents such an essential part of life. It's pretty simple. Without it, none of us exist. And because of that, it would be natural to think it would be in our best interest to put a lot more time and energy into allowing this presence to be more present. After all, there comes a time in every human being's life when you come to a really profound realization. There is only you. There is only you in all of this. Playing with others that recognize for themselves, there is only me. There goes another reset for that mind of ours. We're not talking about the human ego here, or about being all alone in this world. We're referring to the individuated part of you that was set free by the original self. That's all you can really own. Your own presence, your own energy. And if you don't claim that for yourself, then you're relying on energies outside of your own. Just look at the history of this human family to see how that turns out. But this human family doesn't do that isolated from the rest of creation. This human family is just playing out our cosmic story for us to see it in person, up close and in slow motion. For us to do what? To own our own energy. To recognize there's only you, creating for you whatever you want to experience, but as a soul being. Let's take a breath there. And another deep breath. So looking at the history of this human family, so many of you come to realize in your own personal experience that no longer works for you. Oh, that's not to say we don't enjoy the company of family and friends. Of course we do. But if our awareness of ourself is conflicted, if we haven't embraced that unique gift that was handed down by the source of life eons ago, if we lost sight of who we truly are as a soul being, then our attention begins to shift to those around us. Now, we're relying on them. Now, you're making others responsible for how you feel, for the quality of your life. So the experience I shared with you today while driving a car made it abundantly clear to me how connected we actually are. But the gift that was offered from the original self wasn't about becoming codependent on all these energies outside of our own. It was about being sovereign. And if we're perceiving reality through the eyes of our soul, all the time and energy we spend trying to become something that we already are, trying to accommodate what others want us to be, it all ends up being a game we're playing on ourselves, pretending that we, as individuated parts of the original self, have discovered that being God too just isn't enough. There must be more to life. What a game, right? But we're done playing that, are we not? So when Michael shared with me years ago that he didn't know how not to be magnificent, to me, it just sounded so strange for him to say it like that. Not by pumping his chest, hoping that others would notice him, but such a perception of ourselves has gotten lost, both on and off of this planet, when the value we place on our own beingness does become less than magnificent, less than the value we have now placed on energies outside of our own, to help compensate for not owning our own divine nature. That, my friends, represents a very insecure human being, which ends up broadcasting an energy all day long that we, as human beings, are not enough, while carrying with it all of those unresolved, all of those conflicted thoughts and beliefs we have about ourselves. And the byproduct of that, well, now we have a very confused human mind that continues to work overtime, trying to create a safe space for that human heart of ours, while also feeling abandoned by the soul, only to have the soul make itself known to us in this lifetime with a generous offer to now coexist with our human nature. But unlike our human self, it already has the awareness, it already has the skill set to create its own reality through its own awareness, its own passion, and its own light. So we have the honor of helping others who have chosen to reconnect with that very presence. Call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter to us. But during this time here on earth, where it might appear that there exists more problems than there are solutions, there is also a growing awareness that those very parts of us that created the problem to begin with, they aren't capable, they aren't even qualified to provide the solutions. Then it might not come as such a surprise to witness so many incredible but awkward changes, all happening on this planet unlike anything we've ever seen before. Changes that would suggest the end is near, The end of what? Of denying ourselves the support and guidance that has always existed inside of us. And we are seeing that unfold as we speak. What has been the old standard for being human won't be able to dig its way out of the mess it has created. It will require bold new leaders. So the human spirit, one that relies on the heart for guidance and support, we find it at a crossroad. It knows it doesn't have generations to wait for such a change. The time for change is now. But not just a change, but a complete reset. And all of us, in our own unique way, play a part in this grand transition. Each of us have our own history. Each of us have our own story. In a lot of ways, the physical body has adjusted itself to that very story, which makes it kind of awkward, if not painful, right? But no matter where you're at in your own life, the solution to all the discomfort we've endured for ages has revealed itself if we allow it to be a part of our life. The part that some of us are now playing invites any awakened human being to reclaim their divine nature as their birthright, as being now a sovereign creator of your own experience. But not by getting rid of our human self or that human ego. Although there are days, right, when that option starts to look really, really appealing. Our soul is offering a partnership with our human self. Our soul is willing to assume responsibility for creating its own human experience. One that is abundant, one that is filled with passion, joy, and compassion. But of course, our human self has been working really hard for most of our life and trying to do just that. So its pride is a little hurt if the soul can create this without any effort. But if your soul showed up in your life right now in the form of a winning lottery ticket, would your human self be willing to serve such a gift? Or would it make it all about itself, using it to now fulfill, or at least hopefully fulfill, all of those underlying unfulfilled wants, needs, and desires? So my friends, the art of being you actually is really simple. And here's the point of today's session. Being you is all you got. All that you can ever own is you. But is that enough for you? If it's also about being free, if it's also about being sovereign, at face value, that also might sound kind of lonely. Now you own your sovereignty, but who can you play with here with other human beings? Because you no longer perceive yourself as being separated from your original divine nature, which already knows at its core it represents a very unique, one-of-a-kind version of the source of life. That would be you, right? The real you. That doesn't mean we don't enjoy sharing and sometimes co-creating with others. But it does change our relationship big time with this human family. And for those that have walked this path before us in other lifetimes, they really didn't see too many opportunities that would allow them to play with other human beings. So what did they do? They ascended. They ascended into other realms. But from Michael's perspective, there are now more fully awakened human beings on this planet than ever before. Meaning, they know they are creators of their own experience. They don't fall for those games that deny you your natural state. And from our perspective, your natural state is not what you inherited. Your natural state is an enlightened state of being. Take a breath there with that. And if you're willing to embrace that as now being real, then having so many awakened human beings on this planet at this time, this is really good news, right? And to all of you that have joined us during this session that also call yourself creators, well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your light with this group here today. We can feel you. But the part that so many of you are now playing, it might appear to others as being really passive because you're not engaged in trying to change the world, are you? You experience the presence of consciousness in the form of your own soul. It had a profound impact on your human experience, so much so that you could not contain it. The human mind wasn't able to manage or control it. So you started to share it in a variety of ways, primarily just as a light, in the same way that the light of your soul was also shared with your human self. It exposed the light of your soul, all the ways that this presence was being filtered or being denied. And if not for a very subtle feeling that all is indeed well in your life, you might have missed the opportunity that was right in front of you all along. This feeling that all is well inspired you to change your story. It inspired you to change your life so that this very feeling, this growing awareness could begin to emerge unfiltered by those conflicted underlying thoughts and emotions that are but a byproduct of feeling what? That all is not well. So we understand it's a really bold statement to claim that our natural state is an enlightened one. It doesn't place you above anyone else, but your experience of being human does indeed become more elevated. And to keep it really simple, the awareness that you is all you really need to have in your life, you can't take ownership of another being's energy. You've been there, done that, right? That violates our basic freedom. It's also why Earth was created, to help us reclaim our own energy as being what? As being enough. The realization that there is nothing out there that can compensate for what already exists inside of you. It has a profound impact on your life. You realize it's such a precious gift to be you. Let's pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Very good. Take a moment here just to feel how precious you are. Let yourself really feel this. All of creation would be an entirely different experience if you were not a part of it. Each of us have a very, very unique energy. There is no other being in all of creation that is quite like you. The song of your soul is only for you to sing. But if you're relating to all of this as a human being that perceives itself as being separate from your own divine nature, separated from the song of your soul, this might be a really good time to stop singing the song you inherited. If it doesn't feel right, that's because it's not your song. And this is what we serve. And this is what we also see emerging big time. Reclaiming the freedom to be you. Not just as your human self, but as a soul being on this planet with your human self. The light of your soul, when it is present, offers hope to millions that have lost all hope. It touches their heart to remind them they are deeply loved, just as they are. We have the honor of acting as a witness to this, watching those who are now allowing the presence of their soul to now be present. But such a freedom comes with a price, does it not? It takes a great deal of responsibility and the ability to respond to your energy as it speaks to your own heart. Let's pause for just a moment and take another deep breath. Very good. Very good. It's very important to just hit that pause button every now and then, or a lot, to to pay attention to what's really going on inside of you. All of you know that for a lot of people, this is not their time to embrace the freedom that you are choosing for yourself. And that's okay. But are you okay with that? Such a gift is waiting for any human being when they're ready to embrace it, to embrace the realization that what has been called enlightened is not something that we must become. It's truly humbling to realize you just need to allow what already exists as being enlightened inside of you to now be you too. On that note, as strange as this might sound, it's also time to honor those that enjoy playing power games. They have just as much right to play those games as those that don't. But if you don't like living alongside them, you don't have to share the same environment, the same reality. If you were trapped inside a very abusive relationship with another person, every therapist on this planet would recommend that you leave such a relationship. So for many during this grand transition, the opportunity to exist inside a collective reality that is more heart-centered, less abusive, also exists. And yes, we know, for some of you, that sounds a lot like some New Age bullshit. So as Michael has always suggested, if you want proof that such a realm does indeed exist, he has invited anyone to join him. Don't just take his word for it. Experience it for yourself. All of you have dreamed of such a reality. Those dreams that speak to your heart play a vital role in helping to manifest them. Don't stop dreaming. Stop reacting to what exists outside of your dream. All of you are free to come and go from any state of consciousness as you please. But whatever you do, know that the freedom to express yourself from a place of love, it is deeply honored. And we thank you for your service. As a soul being, there is no other being in all of creation that is greater than you, soul. And if it's really true, there really is only you. That's all you got. Then what are you waiting for? Own it with all of your heart. There is no other being that is capable or qualified to sing your song. So sing it. And this brings us to the most important reset. And this moment in time, the moment when your human self accepts the offer from your soul, is this that moment in time to be of service to its creations, to experience with it boundless resources, passion, and joy. By serving it, your soul can now serve you in a very tangible way. Is this that time, dear human? Or must today end as it has ended many times before, with you feeling once again all alone, frustrated, confused? Is this the time to allow your soul to love yourself as you have never felt loved before, because nobody else can love you as deeply as your soul. And we hear and feel a chorus of yes. If for nothing else, you've had enough. You deserve more. You are already worthy of the gift that's being shared with you in the form of your soul. Thank you. Thank all of you for joining us here today. All of our blessings.